Hello, Professor Richaya and Meng. I have to say sorry for being late to report. Before I start the presentation, I want to give you a quick review of what I did in the last year.
The beginning of 2020, I stayed in Thailand to finish the compulsory course and starting the mini research. Did a simple experiment about an intraoral scanner. After March, the epidemic of a coronavirus getting worse. The faculty was closed, so I went back China in the end of May, and we had a discussion online at my quarantine hotel. From June to August, I spent time with my family, and I also went to the lab to continue the research. Then I did a video and show you the result of Research 2.0. After this, I applied the certificate of entrance at October. I thought I would come back Thailand at November, but the situation is far more complicated than I thought. Too many students trying to get back Thailand, and we must waiting for the arrangement of Thai embassy. After I got the COE, my old visa was expired, so I have to apply a new visa again. And the policy during this special time is very strict. Finally, I got all the documents which can let me enter Thailand. I booked the flight at 18th February. Good news is I have injected the vaccine before I departure, so don't worry about my health situation in the next 1 year. After 15 days of quarantine, I will get back faculty at 5th March.
That's all the history about my 2020. I'm really thanks for your tolerance that never urge and push me back soon in this special situation, so that I can have so much plenty time accompany my family. I'm really grateful for this. I think it's a time to take the adventure again, and I believe I will enjoy the journey in my halo with you. Let's back to the presentation.
The title of my presentation is called Digital Impression for eDentalus. This presentation have 3 parts. I gonna share my research work recently. The first part is about a research background. I remember you asked me about what are my interests. My interest area is digital in dentistry, because digital is the trend of the world. More and more manufacture turns into CAD/CAM. So I think the future of dentistry is also CAD/CAM. Based on my understanding, I made a rough category about digital dentistry. Prosthodontic have 2 main categories, fixed and removable. Computer-aided design for the fixed area can take impression, smile design, and occlusion design. The removable as well. What am I doing now is digital impression for removable. There are 2 types of digital impression, directly and indirectly. In other words, intraoral scanner and lab scanner. The problem is when we use intraoral scanner to get a digital impression from eDentalus area, we'll have some distortion at the area. Second problem is cannot get functional impression. So my research is focused on how to try and solve those problems. Usually, eDentalus impression contain mucostatic impression and functional impression. Intraoral scanner can only get the mucostatic impression and cannot get functional impression directly. I think maybe AI algorithm will be the solution way of functional impression. It's been a long time since the last report, so part 2 is about my previous work. As we know, intraoral scanner hard to get eDentalus impression. One of the solutions that I found is to add some landmarks on the eDentalus area, so that can improve the accuracy of the intraoral scanner impression behavior. Not much article mentioned about the details of landmarks. So last time I did some research about it, and I found some interesting results. These are results of my former research. The first one and the second one is similar compared to other research. The third and the fourth are not being found in other articles. After this, Men suggest me to do it on RPD because it doesn't need functional impression. On the other hand, maybe we can design an experiment about the difference distance between the missing teeth and how the space of the eDentalus area affect the accuracy of scanning. After I did some literature review, I found one paper is all about this subject. The author used the normal denture as a control group and a different missing teeth as the testing group, and he get the conclusion that the bigger edentulous area, the lower scanning precision. This article talks about the scan body of the implant. The conclusion that the distance between the scan body also affects the intraoral scanner accuracy. Scanning strategy also can affect the precision more or less. So I summarized all the influencing factors of intraoral scanner accuracy from the articles as below. I think only the landmarks and the software have the research value, so my research will focus on these two aspects. Based on those previous works, the last part is my new research plan. My research will divide as two parts. The first part is about the mucostatic impression. The second part is about functional impression. If we want to improve the accuracy of digital impression, we need to develop the landmark system. On the first hand, as I mentioned before, the landmarks will improve the accuracy, but I found that the different shape also affect the accuracy. That will be my innovation point compared to other research. On the other hand, I think we can design the experiment including the working time and the working temperature. These will affect the accuracy based on my previous research. That's the second innovation point of my research. This time, I want to use the maxillary model with 6 teeth remain as the research target, so that I can compare the difference between my research on edentulous model. Use the zigzag techniques to scan the same shape of landmarks, and scan this model 10 times, recording the scanning time and the temperature of the scanning head. After we connect those data, we may draw a line graph like this. I assume that the working time and the temperature will affect the accuracy of an intraoral scanner. Then, we use the zigzag techniques to scan the different shape of landmarks. Also, scan this model 10 times and recording the scanning time and the temperature of scanning head. We can draw two line graphs based on the data as well. Finally, we can compare the time consuming and the deviation of these two experiments by box-whisker plot graph. After the data analyzed, we may draw this conclusion. The first one is from my previous work. The second and the third one is my hypothesis. The second part is about functional impression. I mentioned about the AI algorithm can use for solve this problem last year. Then I gave up because I cannot find any computer engineer willing to try this project. The quantity of data we can connect cannot satisfy the needs of the AI algorithm. But this time, I changed the method a little bit. I don't expect my research can get a perfect algorithm to solve the functional impression of intraoral scanner. I just want to make the first step for digital functional impression, which is find the digital difference of mucostatic impression between functional impression. I found some articles have something in common with my idea, like this one. The author investigate 10 edentulous cases. For each of them, intraoral scanner take the mucostatic impression, and a custom tree was digital designed based on the impression. Trees were built by a 3D printer and used to make a conventional impression with a polysulfide impression material. Superimpose this 3D model. The author found if removed the non-matching areas, the difference between the intraoral scanner and conventional impression is not significant. There are many other articles shows the evidence that the one step can satisfy most of the edentulous patients. In other words, functional impression may have not such big difference compared to mucostatic impression. Here is the research design. I need to connect the gypsum model from edentulous patient in the clinic and use the lab scanner to scan this model. Then superimpose this model. The number of the cases set to 10. If we can find any regular transformation from the 10 cases, we can make a prototype of the digital functional impression, so we can prove this is possible. These are my bold hypotheses for part 2. It looks questionable, but I think it's worth to try. At the last, I have one question. What should I prepare for my qualification of exam? How about to do a presentation about digital impression?
That's all. Thanks for your time and see you soon.